Good afternoon. Thank you for attending this month's My Wellness Update presentation. Today's presentation will be on Breathe In, the Truth About Tobacco and E-Cigarettes, presented by Erin Ferguson, Wayne County Tobacco Prevention and Cessation Advocate, and Gina Cannon, a Reid Health Wellness Coach and Freedom from Smoking Facilitator. Please welcome Erin.
Hey, welcome. Right now, I want you guys to picture with me, go back to a time that you took a trip. Think about a new experience, a new city. For me, it was 5th grade, and I was in Columbus, Ohio. Walking down the street, I was with my friends. I was checking out a cute boy. We were giggling, laughing, and wham, walked straight into a sign. Of course, I was embarrassed and a little shocked that it was the pedestrian walking sign. But haven't we all been there? We've been going down our way, not noticing things, and we run into something that's pretty obvious that we just weren't aware of because we weren't looking for it. Today, Gina and I would like to talk about a subject that when you open your perspective, you will see in our community that it's everywhere. The effects of it affect a lot of people, and the marketing is everywhere that you go. And that is combustible tobacco and e-cigarettes. Today I'm going to be talking about combustible tobacco. And when I talk about that, it means a product that is burned and inhaled by the user. The most popular is cigarettes. The next is cigars, the pipe, a hookah, which is a water pipe, which is kind of gaining popularity in some of our college towns, and then biddies, which are wrapped cigarette. Then Gina will be talking about a product that's growing in popularity, and that is the e-cigarette. Some people call them ENDS or electronic nicotine delivery. So looking at tobacco use, yes, tobacco use has greatly decreased. Since 2000, tobacco use has decreased greatly among our youth and our older population. Nearly 1 in 12 middle schoolers, though, and over 1 in 4 Indiana high school students still currently use some form of tobacco. So even though we've seen a decrease in cigarette use, the amount of students that are using tobacco products is still pretty high. And then this breaks it down. It's including the e-cigarette. In 2014, the e-cigarette surpassed the popularity of cigarettes among youth. Shortly behind that, cigars at 9%. Can you guys see that back there? Okay. Cigars at 9.3% were reported for high school users, and this is in Indiana. Then chew and snuff. Hookah, again, that's the water pipe. A pipe, snus, and little biddies. Now I want to talk to you about a product that isn't the product that we might have related to the old man smoking the cigar. It's the little cigars that have grown in popularity. These are, on the left, are the cigarettes. So they're wrapped in a white paper, while a cigar is wrapped in some kind of tobacco product. We see in the 4 and the 5, those are smaller cigars. They're not the normal, like I said, the large cigar that we've thought of in the past. While we've seen that between 2000 and 2014, cigarette use among youth dropped by 62%, the cigar use actually just dropped by 40%. And that's on that handout that you should have got when you walked in. So cigars come in many different sizes and flavors. They come in these colorful packaging. Next time you go to a convenience store or a gas station. Look at the different products. They're in these kind of shiny paper. They're not, like I said, those older looking cigars. Plus, they have different flavors, like this one's watermelon, and this one's grape. And then if you look at just these two packages, this is a cigar package. This is cigarettes. Both have 20 products in them. And then when you look at the product inside, the cigar looks very similar to the cigarette. This package of cigarettes, the menthol cigarette, is over $5.50. This package of little cigars is only $1.50. So we know that the tobacco companies over the years have used, like I said, bright packaging, have used flavors, have used a lower pricing or discounts to target youth mainly, who are sensitive to pricing, and the poor. And then here you see the examples. Like I said, there's the strawberry, the Swisher Sweets, Black and Mild. You'll see a lot of times in different flavors, vanilla flavors. One thing that a lot of people don't know too is cigars can be sold in front of the counter, whereas cigarettes have to be placed on that power wall behind the counter. Tobacco smoke, so whether it comes from a cigar, a cigarette, a pipe, still contains harmful chemicals. In secondhand smoke, which is the smoke coming off of a tobacco product, there's more than 250 chemicals. And we know that 70 of these are carcinogens, or substances that cause cancer. And then this is a great visual of the effect of secondhand smoke and thirdhand smoke, which is the residue that's left. So this was a person's home where they smoked, and these white areas are where the wall hangings were taken down, and that residue still remained. And when you think about that, the residue that is from secondhand smoke, somebody breathes it in, it still remains inside and has the effects. 58 million non-smokers in the U.S. are still exposed to secondhand smoke, and 2/5 of these are between the ages of 3 and 11. So people who breathe in secondhand smoke have a greater risk of ear infections, lung infections like bronchitis, pneumonia, asthma. Secondhand smoke causes death as well. In 2013, just in Wayne County, secondhand smoke killed 15 people. So it's important for people to know that secondhand smoke, their smoke, doesn't just affect them, but it affects the people around them. So if a person doesn't want to give it up, make sure that you encourage them to take it outside, okay? We know that tobacco causes death, and in the world, 5 million deaths are caused by tobacco per year, and the Surgeon General labels smoking tobacco as the #1 preventable cause of death and disease. And just looking at Wayne County now, not the world of 5 million deaths, but just in Wayne County in 1 year, 121 deaths were caused by tobacco use. We have a higher usage rate than the rest of the nation, a higher usage rate than even our state at 26% for Wayne County. So this is something that we need to be talking about, need to be educating our patients, our friends, and our family about. If I didn't say it before, 15 deaths in Wayne County were due to secondhand smoke in 2013. And we know that smoking tobacco is the cause of more deaths than heroin, cocaine, AIDS, homicides, and suicides added altogether. So combined, that number of deaths caused by smoking is greater than those combined. But for every death caused by tobacco, there's 30 people who are living with some kind of disease or illness. When I was in high school, I remember my grandmother being diagnosed with emphysema, and that meant for her that she had to be attached to an oxygen tank. I saw her from that point on, be stuck to that oxygen tank, be in the home, and her health and her life, quality of life decreasing. I saw that my parents, my father had to take care of them, of her. And I'm sure that you guys know somebody who has been affected by tobacco smoke in that way. A lot of people don't think that in the end they're going to have those consequences. But we have to really take a stop and think, what do we want our last 10 years to look like? Not just talking about what our death is going to be, but what do we want our life quality to be? We know that tobacco use causes heart disease, cancers of many kinds, and respiratory problems. Actually, the number one cause of death among smokers is heart disease, and that's because it lowers our good cholesterol. It causes our blood vessels to thicken and to narrow, and it increases the buildup of plaque. Obviously, lung cancer is associated with the use of smoking tobacco. On the left, we see a healthy lung, and on the right, we see a smoker's lung. Here at the bottom is a picture of emphysema, so one of these respiratory problems we talk about. And if you imagine a cluster of balloons, and then all those balloons being popped, and they collapse on themselves, that's really what emphysema is. It's a breaking down of those air sacs that are in the lungs and disallowing oxygen to be taken to the lungs and throughout the body. Other respiratory problems that are associated with tobacco smoke are asthma, COPD, which is emphysema, and chronic bronchitis. And then also fibrosis of the lung, which is scarring of the outside. And we know that, most of us know that tobacco is addictive. The consumption of tobacco products is, from some studies, it's shown to be as addictive as heroin, cocaine, and alcohol. When you think about a person breathing in the tobacco smoke, that nicotine comes in, it's absorbed quickly. It takes 8 seconds to get from the lungs to the brain. The tar and the other toxins remain on the lung, that soft tissue. 7 out of 10 adult smokers say that they want to quit altogether. So to anybody who uses tobacco, I would say that quitting tobacco can be the best decision that you can make for your life and for your health. Right away, when a person quits, there are immediate signs that they see that their health is getting better. Their blood pressure and their pulse return to normal levels. The chance of heart attack drops. The sense of taste and smell return. And as they go on being quit, their lung capacity increases. After 1 year, that important lung growth starts to increase so that they can fight off infections. After 5 years, the heart disease death rate drops to that of non-smokers. And then after 10 years, the lung cancer death rates drop to that of a non-smoker. So it's really important that we be talking to our friends, family, and clients about the importance of quitting. And there are 7 FDA-approved medications, and those are the patch, the gum. A lot of people have talked about these lozenges being very helpful, and obviously other medications like the Chantix. But as we'll hear more information about, the e-cigarette is gaining in popularity, and a lot of people think that can be something to help them quit, and Gina is going to talk about that now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gina Cannon. I'm a wellness coach here at Reid Health and a freedom from smoking cessation class facilitator. It's a long. Who in here has heard about e-cigarettes? Have you seen them out and about at the mall? Kind of wondering, hey, why are these allowed to be used out here and kind of look like a cigarette, kind of have the smoke like a cigarette? Is that safe for me? The reason I'm talking today is to hopefully educate you a little bit more about that product so that you can make better informed decisions if you want to be around it or what to do if you are in a situation where you are around it. Little history on the e-cigarette. They entered the market in 2008, so they've been here for a little while. Big Tobacco joined the market in 2012, and I'd say that's when the popularity really saw a boom because of their marketing tactics. All e-cigarettes, whether you purchased yours from a vape shop, it has a tank, or whether you had it ordered online or you went to a convenience store and picked one up, they all have relatively the same components inside. They just look different on the outside. They all have a battery. They all have an atomizer that heats up the liquid, whether it's in a pre-filled cartridge or whether you put it in there yourself with liquid nicotine. And they all emit that smoke that you see that some people claim are just water vapor. These are some of the Big Tobacco e-cigarette brands. You could buy these at your local convenience store or the grocery store. Have you guys seen these on commercials anywhere? Like Blue. Views has a very pretty new commercial out. This is some examples of vape pens. I want to make sure you guys know what the product looks like, so when you see it, you're aware of what it is. Towards the left of the screen, your left, is more the Big Tobacco, what they make. They tend to mimic what a traditional cigarette looks like. The ones on the right-hand side have a tank that you would fill yourself, so you could pick up the liquid nicotine at a vape shop or online. And they come in multitude of flavors. I have some up here that's grape, and it smells very yummy. I mean, they're very appealing. But the ones on the right, you would fill yourself. This is another vaping device. Does that look like anything anyone's seen before? I don't see any heads nodding. Kind of look like a cell phone to me. The one, oh, no. This one here. Looked like a cell phone to me. That's a variable voltage e-cigarette, so they can actually turn it up or turn it down and have a different vaping experience. I don't know if anyone in here, did you receive a starter pack from Mark 10 last year? We had several doctors here at the hospital that donated to me their starter packs that they got for free in the mail. We were an area that they wanted to market to, so they sent out free starter packs that looked like this, similar to this, but it just was missing the actual pre-filled cartridge, but there was a coupon inside that you could go get the cartridge and get it for free, come home and try vaping. If you ever go into a vape shop, it smells really nice in there. It smells fruity and appealing. And on the shelves, they would have different liquid nicotine bottles. They all vary in liquid nicotine content. They do sell a bottle that has 0 nicotine. They sell a bottle that has 18 milligrams per ml in it. It goes all the way up to 36 milligrams nicotine per ml in the bottles. You can get very large bottles or very small bottles. This is just a picture of someone filling a vape pen. So this is the tank, and you screw the top off and you open your bottle of liquid nicotine and you pour it in there. It takes about an ml. And then you turn it on and it heats it up and turns it into that smoke that you see emitted from people's mouths when they're vaping. Basic ingredients don't sound that harmful. There's usually about 4. And if you ever check out any of the manufactured packages, it'll show these ingredients on the back. It's propylene glycol or glycerin, nicotine, flavor chemicals. In and of themselves, they don't sound very harmful, minus the nicotine. I think propylene glycol is in like toothpaste and things like that. So we kind of tend to feel like they're safe. But would you agree that when you throw, chemicals together and you heat them up, it might change their chemical compound? might change how they react in your body. The biggest gripe I have is that while these sound very safe, we use them already. What could possibly be wrong with them? They were FDA approved for ingestion, not inhalation. And there's plenty of studies out there, if you look online, that show that when you inhale e-cigarettes, the different flavorings that they have, some of them are way more dangerous than others. But when they go into your lungs are very delicate. And these are very small particles, and they can actually travel further into your lungs versus a traditional combustible tobacco cigarette, and cause more damage, and they have proven in studies that it causes cancer. They've also proven that the smoke that someone's emitting is not just water vapor. We would love to think that. That'd be awesome, but it's not. There is formaldehyde and nicotine in that vapor. So if you're sitting next to someone, or if you're in your car with your children and you're vaping, I could test your blood if you're sitting next to that person that was vaping, and you would test positive for nicotine. And if you're not okay with that, then I suggest, if you're around it, to not sit by that person or not be in the same car, or ask them not to vape in the car with you, or certainly don't vape with your children in the car. So let's talk a little bit more about formaldehyde. Vaping, you inhale way more formaldehyde with vaping than you do with a traditional cigarette. I thought that was very interesting when I came across this fact. In an entire 20-pack of cigarettes, Marlboros, a user would inhale 3 milligrams of formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is a carcinogen. If you're vaping at that high voltage, remember that one I talked about that looked like a cell phone, the little pipe sticking out of it, you can turn that up, and if you're using a 36 milligram nicotine product, you would inhale about 14 milligrams of formaldehyde. Thought y'all would like to know that. Potential health risks besides nicotine being toxic and poisonous. I've had people stand up. I don't know if anyone in here uses an e-cigarette, but if you had, you could think about, have you ever experienced irritation of your throat or discomfort in that way? I've had several people testimony that that's maybe one of their complaints, is that they have an irritated throat when they use it, or they get used to it, and also that they tend to vape more often, so they get a higher level of nicotine, and some have caused themselves to be sick because they've ingested too much nicotine. This is an example of Mark 10. This is a big tobacco product. I just wanted to share this with you because I don't know how many of you have ever seen the packaging, but on the packaging it'll state that it's not a smoking cessation product. It's not allowed to be promoted as a smoking cessation product. There's no FDA regulation on that yet. Someday maybe there will be. And also that nicotine is addictive and habit-forming. It's very toxic by inhalation, in contact with the skin, and if swallowed. Some things, and this is why I'm here today, is I want to share the education about how dangerous it could be if you spilt it on your skin. Because of that high level, that high content of nicotine, if you just spill it on your skin, it absorbs very quickly, it goes straight into your bloodstream. And it takes very small amounts because it's so, I can't think of the word. Somebody help me. A lot of nicotine per, it's very concentrated, sorry, everybody. So very dangerous if you spill it on your skin, very dangerous to children. So there's no safety standards for e-cigarettes. If you go buy a product, there's 3 vape shops in Wayne County at this moment. If you went and bought a product at each one of them, you may get a different product. It may say 18 milligrams per nicotine per ml, but it might have 20, it might have 0. There's no safety standards, there's no testing. There's no way for me to say with certainty, you're getting a good quality product, I feel safe with you using that. And it's not FDA regulated, and many juice bottles that are sold with the liquid nicotine in them, I have one up here. Mine is child-resistant cap. That's all I ask, is that, if you are gonna have this in your home, that it has a child-resistant cap on it, because I'm gonna show you a slide here in a minute that may impact your thoughts about where you keep it or who you let touch it. The American Association of Poison Control Centers, they keep a running tally on lots of reasons why they get phone calls, but one individual is liquid nicotine exposures. And every month they update their tally. Do you guys remember when I said Big Tobacco joined making e-cigarettes? It was in 2012. In 2012, we had 460 reported exposures of liquid nicotine. Not a huge number. But in 2014, we had almost 4,000. It was a shocking number. Anybody hear any reports about young children dying from liquid nicotine exposure? Over half of these numbers that I'm showing you involve children under the age of 6. And that's just for the simple fact that I'm not sure that there's enough education out there about how dangerous this liquid nicotine is because it's so concentrated. It smells like fruit. I mean, if I was a child, I know I have 3 children. My children put everything in their mouths. So if they found something that smelled like fruit or was liquid, it was easy to get a hold of, they would have put it in their mouths. It could be very dangerous. At the end of November, we've had 2,890 calls to the Poison Control Center regarding liquid nicotine exposures. Some of the side effects, if you use a vape pen and you're filling your tank or handling it, if you start to feel sick to your stomach, headachy, you possibly exposed yourself to the liquid nicotine. This is my slide that I hope gets your attention the most. My biggest podium that I'm standing on up here is that I want to protect the kids, and I don't want them to get a hold of this product. If you use this product, that's totally fine with me, but just use it wisely. In a pack of Marlboros, thought everybody recognized Marlboros, there's less than 1 milligram nicotine per cigarette. When you compare that to this little bottle here, that's 10 mLs. If any of you have children, you think about your little Tylenol bottles with your dropper, your 1 ml dropper in it. I think that's something recognizable to everyone in here. This little bottle is equivalent to 391 cigarettes. That's a lot of nicotine. That's why it's dangerous for all these little kids to get a hold of this. The statistics or the stats, it takes 50 to 60 milligrams to kill an adult that's 150 pounds. So we were just talking about this little bottle is 36 milligrams per ml. Sorry, it's a lot of math. 36 milligrams per ml. So if any 150-pound individuals in here, it would take less than 2 mLs to possibly be fatal to you. That's serious business. With the kids, it takes just 10 milligrams. And this bottle has 36 milligrams per ml, so we're talking a third of a little Tylenol dropper. Could significantly hurt your child. So if you know any daycare workers or you keep your children at someone's house or you know anybody with children that use these products, just maybe give them a heads up that it's something they may want to consider. Just keep it locked up, put it away, keep it out of their reach. The American Association of Poison Control Centers recommends that you protect your skin while handling the product. Nicotine affects those that are on heart medications, diabetes, have asthma. So I'm on heart medication. When I handle this bottle, and inevitably when I take this lid off and mess with it to like maybe fill the vape pen for a demonstration and put the lid back on, I inevitably get some on my fingers, and it makes my heart race. I don't like how that feels. I don't know if any of you are on medications like that or have experienced that. If you're in the mall or the restaurant and are around someone who's vaping. And also, a lot of the big tobacco companies, when you buy their product, there's a way to dispose of that pre-filled cartridge. And I recommend you utilize that instead of throwing it in your trash can for someone potentially to get a hold of it, especially a child. And if you think anyone's been exposed to liquid nicotine and is having a reaction, please call the Poison Control Center. Reason why these are so popular is they're heavily marketed, so there is a massive budget for marketing these products. Like I said, Views has a really nice commercial out right now, and The Truth, I don't know if you've seen any of their commercials, is trying to combat that with some commercials of their own. And I remember the first time I saw it on television, I felt kind of like, oh, that's weird, I haven't seen one of those in forever. Because tobacco, cigarettes, hasn't been allowed on television since 1971. But because e-cigarettes aren't FDA regulated, there's no rules, they can. And I see all the commercials during prime time. I think about my children. They're very kids mimic adult behavior. So if it looks like it's safe and easy and adults do it and they see it now in restaurants and the malls and the movie theaters, it must be okay. And I don't want them to think it's okay. They're still being exposed to nicotine. So they're mimicking ways that we used to market cigarettes. So there was Joe Camel, he was super popular, and now the e-cigs are coming out with their own cartoon characters to market their product. There's all different kinds of flavorings, Tutti Frutti gumball, birthday cake, cotton candy, and they smell exactly what they sound like. This one up here is grape. If you want to smell it, it's very, very strong. Some of the advertising tactics, they're using celebrities. I don't know if you heard about that. There's a few commercials out there with celebrities. Jenny McCarthy, have you guys seen that one? Rugged Men, Marlboro. You guys know the Marlboro Man. He was very handsome. He could do anything, and he smoked cigarettes. And so now they're using another cute guy over here, you know, to look all cool, and he's using e-cigarettes. Glamorous women, this ad looks very similar to me. The one on your right is old, and the one on the left now uses e-cigarettes. And also, they're pushing switch, don't quit. This is safer, so do this instead of. And I caution you on that. I can't say they're harmless, and I can't promote it unless I can say they're harmless. The addiction to nicotine is very serious, like Erin discussed. And when you use e-cigarettes, still with nicotine in them, you're still feeding your addiction. And I just liked this slide. It's candy-flavored tobacco, you know, for kids. I question all the flavors. I know adults enjoy flavored things too, but I also recognize how popular this product is with our kids in high schools and how the high schools are struggling to get it under control. E-cigarette use tripled amongst our youth. That's shocking. That's a little scary to me. What can we do? I suggest that marketing or sales of e-cigarettes that result in youth use should not be allowed. If you go in, like Erin, she challenged you all to kind of look around and see what you see. Just look for it when you go to the gas station. Most likely the e-cigarette stuff is right there beside the cash register at your face. Looks like the candy, smells like the candy, and it's right there with the candy. I don't think it should be right there where the kids are staring at it when they're checking out with their pop and bubble gum. I think we should include the e-cigarette in our smoke-free air policy. I do not support it being allowed in the mall and in the restaurants because I don't want to inhale nicotine. I don't want to inhale formaldehyde. To me, it's secondhand smoke, just like a cigarette. We need to push for 100% smoke-free indoor air, and we need to provide barrier-free access to the 7 FDA-approved smoking cessation devices. And Erin's going to come back up here and talk to you a little bit about what we do have to offer to help you quit.
And if you look at this, aren't you guys just pumped up? All right. If you guys, we're in Reid Health, and I'm sure that some of you are day-to-day with clients, with patients. What I'd like to suggest or request you to do is to ask, advise, and refer. So ask your patients about their tobacco use. Include the questions about e-cigarettes as well in that. Advise patients not to use tobacco and refer them to evidence-based resources. The 1-800-QUIT-NOW is a wonderful service that we have in Indiana. It's free to use. It's a telephone counseling service. So a person who's addicted to nicotine can call this 1-800-QUIT-NOW. They would be set up with 4 sessions where they talk to a trained addiction counselor. And for the average adult, it's 4 sessions. For the pregnant person, for the pregnant woman, it's 10 sessions. And it's even available for youth in 6 sessions. And so what is so important about it is that it's tailored to the individual. A lot of people smoke or chew or use e-cigarettes for different reasons. And this counseling service can help talk through why a person uses tobacco, what those triggers are going to be. So if they really are struggling with using it while they're driving, what kind of tips or what kind of things that they can be proactive about so that they're not falling into those triggers. The 1-800-QUIT-NOW has a great return. 1 out of 3 people are tobacco-free 30 days after participating in this program. There's also that URL, that quitnowindiana.com, is there's also a web-based form of that. And then there locally is a group session that will be starting up here in the spring. Gina is one of the persons who will be facilitating that, and that's the Free From Smoking, which is from the American Lung Association. So if you want to learn more about this, please talk to Gina. Her information's on your half sheet and up here as well. Thank you guys so much for coming today. We know that tobacco use, like we said before, 26% of adults are dealing with it, but we know that the majority of those users want to quit. We just need to provide the resources. So if you guys have any questions, we have some time to take those questions, and we'll try to answer them if we can. Anybody? Yes, ma'am. There is movement to regulate, also to bring in legislation about these products. But like she said, it takes a process, and unfortunately there are some politics to it. So if you guys as the citizen want to see that move faster, I would suggest or recommend getting a hold of your legislator to ask for that. There have been steps to make it, like she said, with a child-proof lid that is required in Indiana now. So it's just a process. Yeah. And unfortunately, without the FDA regulation, we don't have the studies on what kind of harms yet. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Question on third-hand smoke.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a new term to me, but how dangerous could that be for infants and small kids?
Sure, great question. So he asked about third-hand smoke. How dangerous can it be to people, especially infants? And that's a great question. It is a newer term, so we don't have all the studies, but we know that those particles, those cancer-causing substances still remain on the carpets, on people's clothing, and just like secondhand smoke, that increases the risks of ear infections, respiratory infections, but we don't have those stats like we do of the secondhand smoke. Yeah, great question. So if anybody uses, some people have even gone to using like a smoking coat that they'll take off when they come inside so that they're not picking up the baby immediately. Obviously, washing hands is important as well. And then to take their smoke outside so it's not on the carpets.
One more question.
Yeah.
I know some individuals who just use cigars. They don't light them up. And I think part of the presentation was that nicotine does get through to the person, through their mouth or lips or whatever. But could you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, because of time, we just focus on the combustible, so the inhalation. But just like chew, or similar to chew, which is the moist tobacco, I think that the statistic is 3 times the risk of oral cancer for that person who is a person who use chew. Do you have anything else about that? So smokeless tobacco still has, I think it's 28 cancer-causing substances in it. I don't know about the outer wrapping of a cigar, but I would say it's still, because tobacco itself has cancer-causing substances. So they'd be at more risk of the oral cancer, pancreas, and some other cancers. Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys have any questions later, or like I said, want to hear about the resource of the cessation class, or more about the 1-800-QUIT-NOW, you can get a hold of us here at Reid. Thanks so much, and Merry Christmas.